Hey everybody, it's Movie Fan Z here. So it's been a month since I've done a movie review, so I'm going to get back to them, starting with tonight's movie. So I just finished watching 1959's The Alligator People, and this was free on demand on my DVR, so I thought I would check it out. So basically, in this movie, we have this newlywed on a train, the Websters, Joyce and Paul. But during it, Paul disappears and is basically never found. But then we get 2 years later where Joyce searches everywhere and finally ends up at Paul's family's southern estate in the bayou. And she comes to find out that there's a scientist there that is doing experiments on injured people, but essentially turning them into alligator mutant people. So we get to see what she has to go through and what she encounters in her visit there. So before I get into the cast, this is a movie that I'm not sure if I would have actually liked or not. It's only 75 minutes, and it's an old classic movie. And by the premise, it sounds like it might not be great, but I'll get to what I think in a second. So let's get into the cast, but first, the director of this movie, I'm going to read it from here, is Roy Del Ruth, and he also directed such movies as 1945's Ziegfeld Follies and 1947's It Happened on Fifth Avenue. And as far as the cast, you have Beverly Garland, who is Joyce. You have Richard Crane, who plays Paul. You have George McCready, who is the doctor, Dr. Mark Sinclair. Frida Inescourt, who plays Mrs. Hawthorne, who you come to find out has a connection to Paul. And then you also have Lon Chaney Jr., who plays Manon, who works like on the property, but there's something like a struggle between him and Paul and him and like the family. And what's interesting is it's Lon Chaney Jr., who is also known as the Wolfman in Universal Classic monster movies. So let's get into what I thought, though. Overall, this was a okay movie. I thought it was... The biggest positive I have for this is that it was an interesting story. Something I've never seen before in a movie. And that's kind of what got me interested. The acting might not be great, but also remember it's the 50s. And it is all in black and white. And maybe I would have been kind of interested to see how it would have looked maybe in color. But aside from that, it was a good movie, but nothing really blew me away. So overall, it's still going to be a 3, which is still a good score for me. That's average, that's a good score. But, again, that was my review for 1959's The Alligator People. This is Movie Fan Z signing off. Have a good night.